Why not change the blame game to the aim game and begin to start aiming for higher levels of excellence in your life, to aim at hard things and say, bring it on. By the age of 18, Jerzy Gregorek was in Poland under the communist regime in the 1960s and 70s and 80s, and his life was falling apart. He was an alcoholic, he was a chain smoker, and he was a high school dropout. But then he discovered weight training, and in weight training, he found himself. He found a new purpose for his life. He began to work out every day. He became a firefighter in Poland, and then through the new disciplines in his life, he joined a dissident movement under the Catholic Church, found God in his life, and then in 1986 left Poland, came to the United States, and became a world champion, a world record holder in powerlifting. Then he developed the weightlifting program at UCLA, then became a leading writer. And the reason I share the story of Jerzy is because of this quote that he's coined that I love. And I think it's a great theme for this habit of embracing hard in our life. He said, easy choices, hard life. Hard choices, easy life. And when I talk about embracing hard as a habit, I'm talking about the willingness in your life to face difficulties and struggles with a new attitude, an attitude that you have what it takes, an attitude that actually you're going to grow. You're going to become a deeper, more meaningful, more powerful, and even a more peaceful person by realizing that the hard choices that you make are going to lead to a better life. And that's so, so vital. So in habit 2, I would say this, that if you can start developing the habit of making hard choices, embracing the difficult, embracing problems, embracing your childhood where there's trauma, hurt, or pain, embracing shame, embracing even a job where it's not that fun or it's not that exciting, but you know that God's called you to be there, and you continue to every day show resiliency and hard work. I'm telling you, it will set you free. That's where breakthrough courage happens. Breakthrough courage happens through embracing hard. And I think it's important that we understand that life is hard. So if you think life is easy, oh my goodness, are you going to be in for some shock in your life? Life is hard. Life is difficult. And with that comes the challenge upon us about what we're going to do with hard things. And I would say, from my experience as a counselor, coach, pastor, leader, that most people blame others. That becomes the main thing. And especially those in the younger generation, tendencies to blame parents or to blame your job or to blame some fact that I'm not smart enough, or I didn't get a college education, or I never got my high school diploma, or whatever it might be. It's the blame game. And I want to challenge you that the blame game's going to get you absolutely nowhere. Why not change the blame game to the aim game and begin to start aiming for higher levels of excellence in your life, to aim at hard things and say, bring it on. To be able to say that with the challenges of my life, whatever they may be, and they may be huge, I'm not going to say they're not hard in your life, but if you begin to face difficulties and hardships, I'm promising you, this is absolutely true. God has wired you for hard. God has wired you to be able to be a person who can overcome these issues in your life. I want to go back to Genesis 1, 26 through 28, which I think is the great mandate of humankind. Some have called it the cultural mandate, but God created you for hard. Here's what God said to human beings when they were being created. When he created Adam and Eve, he said, God said, let us make man in our own image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them, and God blessed them. And he said, be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth, subdue it, and have dominion over it. So God gave man and woman a mandate to have dominion, to subdue, and to multiply. So that's God's job description. That's God's job description for your presence here on this earth. And I've never seen ever in my life where taking dominion, subduing, isn't hard work. It means that there's a stewardship. God's given every human being a stewardship to a hurting, difficult life, and it's those who build a habit of embracing hard that are the most successful. You see, you were created to be an overcomer. Overcoming all through the scriptures, from Genesis to Revelation, especially in the last book of Revelation, the 7 churches, the word there in chapters 2 and 3 of Revelation are the church that overcomes, the church that overcomes, the church that overcomes. God blesses people who are overcomers. So you were created to be an overcomer. Jesus said this, these things I've spoken to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but be of good courage. I have overcome the world. For you that are listening to this and you're a believer in Jesus Christ and you have the Holy Spirit living within you, Jesus living within you can overcome any obstacle that you have, but you have to face it. You have to embrace it. You have to be willing to look at failure, look at shame, look at hardship, look at difficulties, and say, I have what it takes through the power of the Holy Spirit. Jesus also says this, do not think that I came to bring peace on the earth. He who does not take up his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. He who finds his life will lose it, and he who loses his life for my sake will find it. In other words, Jesus is saying hard leads to easy and death leads to life. So Jesus never proclaimed an easy life for the believer. He said, take up your cross and follow me. So that's embracing hard. And there was nothing more heinous, nothing more difficult than a Roman cross and a person crucified on that cross. And Jesus is saying this before he went to the cross. So his disciples at that time would not have completely understood what that sacrifice he was going to make would look like, because this is before he went to Calvary and before he went to the cross. But here's what they did understand. They understood very clearly that Jesus was saying, if you follow me, you're going to have to embrace hard. It's going to be difficult. So the attitude that has helped me, and the term that I like to use when difficult times come, is bring it on. Bring it on, man. And when we go through things in our life, if you can begin to go from, oh my goodness, I can't believe this is happening, to bring it on. I have what it takes. I'm wired for this. I'm hardwired for difficulties. God created me to be an overcomer. It changes everything. It changes your entire attitude, and it actually gives you courage. It gives you breakthrough courage, because one of the biggest things that we run from are obstacles that create fear. And I want to challenge you to face and embrace hardship so that you can have breakthrough courage against fear. And I think a bring it on attitude does that. In James writes, consider it pure joy. Isn't this crazy? Consider it pure joy, my brothers and my sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, and lacking in nothing. So one of the key ingredients, one of the great habits of breakthrough courage is embracing hard. Well, you might be asking, well, exactly how do I do that? Well, I want to give you a few tips that I found over the years that are helpful in embracing hard in my life. And this is huge because we tend to compare ourselves. So I'm going to say tip number one is quit comparing yourself to others. That is probably one of the most debilitating things we can do is compare our talents or compare our skills or compare our job or compare our marriage to others. And it just discourages you. Comparison is a dead-end road. Brene Brown has said, comparison is the crush of conformity from one side and competition from the other side. It's trying to simultaneously fit in, but also to stand out. So I want to challenge you in the ways that I challenged myself early on as a gymnast in college, especially high school some, but definitely when I was at the collegiate national level, and that is compete against yourself. Don't compete against others. It's you versus you. It's me versus me. In other words, it's looking at my life and saying, how am I doing? Am I being truthful? Am I being honest? Am I walking with integrity? Am I treating people with respect and honor? Instead of comparing what other people say about me or the image that I'm trying to project on social media or the internet or whatever it might be that's kind of your mirror that you like to send out to the world, why not look in the mirror of your life and say, am I living up to the standards that God's called me to? Because when we do that, we embrace hard in a new way and it builds and develops our character. Tip number two, you are unique. You have a unique way about you. You're not like anyone else. Your talents and gifts and your gift mix of who you are is unique to you, and embrace your own uniqueness. You're fearfully and wonderfully made to be who you are. Embrace your name, embrace your background, and know that God's got a purpose for that. Tip number three, you are hardwired. In other words, you have the wiring to take on hard. God made you for hard. You have what it takes for hard, and actually you were created for hard. Tip number four, focus in a new direction. So a lot of people, I find, focus on those under them or over them. In other words, those under them, they look down on them or they make fun of them or they gossip about them. Other people focus on those above them and they compare themselves and it belittles them. I want to challenge you to look up at God and find your direction through seeking the kingdom. Seek after God. Don't worry about others. Don't compare yourself to others. Be who God made you. And man, you will see such breakthrough in your life. And then finally, tip number 5, setbacks are setups for a comeback. So setbacks are set up for a comeback. So whatever your background, whatever mistakes you've made, problems you've had, even maybe some of the parts of your background that you're ashamed of, I want to say, look at that as a setup for God to bring a comeback in your life. So the challenge in habit 2 is embrace hard. Stop running from it. Stop being fearful of it. Turn around, face hard tomorrow, and say, bring it on. I have what it takes. And guess what? You're going to fail, and you're going to fail, and you're going to mess up, and you're going to not live up to the standards that you have for yourself. Okay. Well, then the next day, face hard again. Embrace it, and gradually, you're going to see courage start developing in your life. And guess what? Everybody around you is going to notice it. Wow, you're not as fearful as you were. My goodness, you don't run and hide when things get hard. You actually embrace it and face it. And so God will make you a kind of person who the habit of embracing hard builds breakthrough courage, and you're going to see fear dissipate increasingly in your life.